Alright, what's cracking, y'all? It's your boy, Prince the Hustle God. It's a cold black affair, and we reaching in our combat tool bag again. Let's talk Devin Haney versus George Kambosos. Let's chronicle the fight, tell the whole story. It's at the beginning. Alright, so George Kambosos, uh, this all starts with George Kambosos versus Teofimo Lopez. Um, Teofimo Lopez beats Lomachenko and basically becomes a unified champion, the franchise belt, so he can fake being undisputed. Um, Instead of just taking his, I think it was a IBF title defense. It was one. It was some sort of mandatory title defense. That's how George Kambosos got into the position to actually get the fight for the titles. And yeah, Tio didn't want to just fight him for what Bob offered him. Tio immediately became a diva and tried to um, use the Muhammad Ali Act and and try to take the fight elsewhere. Long story short, Triller picked up the fight in a purse bid. The fight got postponed, I think, 4 or 5 times and rescheduled. It was supposed to be in New York. It was taken from New York to be put in Florida, and uh, then after it got set on for the final time, Triller pulled out. They said, "Forget this. We're not paying him. He's not worth it, and neither is Cam Bussy Boy." Um, so that's when DAZN and Eddie Hearn bid it for the fight and picked it up since there was no other competition. That said, Teofimo loses the fight to George Kambosos. Um, then claims he had his esophagus blew up, uh, quote quote unquote by Bob Arum, and a number of other things. He swore he won the fight, but he had like 300 pounds of pressure on his esophagus, and there was no way to fight like that yet. Post fight, he still did his shooting star press backflip like one of the wrestling guys. Um, so he loses to George Kambosos. After losing to George Kambosos, before actually, most importantly, before this fight happens, uh, Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos get into a spat, and in that spat, Teofimo Lopez starts using the N word. He says he eats with his hands, I guess, like a caveman, and then he said he's going to knock this N word out, knock this N word out, not being African American, referring to Devin Haney, using it in a hateful and more derogative term. Kambosos immediately responds via Twitter saying, "Say no to racism. Um, as soon as I wipe the floor with this clown, I'll give you the first opportunity to fight." He wins, and then after that, he says, "I have to make sure Devin Haney looks a certain way." He starts backing off of the DM that he sent to Devin Haney. He tries to fight Lomachenko. That falls through. Lomachenko um, and his Ukraine situation, he gets pulled off the war. He tries to go and look at Tank Davis and look at Ryan Garcia. He tries literally to fight everyone but Devin Haney, that was his form of though that was his clout chasing form of trying to guarantee a next fight after Teofimo Lopez. Long story short, um, there's no other options for anyone to. There's no other options for Kambosos besides Devin Haney. Devin Haney, he first says he'll take Lomachenko's deal. He not only does that, he's he was originally a independent um, fighter signed a partnership deal with a partner pr- promotion deal with Eddie Hearn and DAZN. So he had freedom to fight on any network. um, for this for the opportunity at Undisputed that he was basically going to be played out of, he accepted a deal with Bob Arum. He signed a deal with Bob Arum, as Lou DiBella was indebted to Bob Arum. He couldn't take the fight anywhere else besides to Bob Arum. So Devin Haney went to sign a 3-fight deal with Bob Arum, took less money than what Lomachenko would have taken, and now um, uh, oh, uh, on top of that, both of the fights were going to be in Australia, regardless of the winner. Um, took less than a quarter, if I'm not mistaken, of what um, Kambosos is going to be paid for one fight for all three. And yeah, so we're in a place now where Devin has made every concession he could make to actually get this fight being made, and it's probably since Joe Louis, he's probably signed up to take the worst deal in boxing history just for an opportunity to fight for a title. Referring to when Joe Louis, I think it was Fritz Zan or something like that, and he had to sign away his career, a percentage of his career earnings for every fight um, to that fighter just to even compete for the title. But that said, um, there hasn't been a title taken back from Australia uh, to America in circumstances like this since Jack Johnson um, became the went and got the heavyweight title from over there. So Devin Haney, the story of this fight is Devin Haney gave up his independence, gave up being the highest paid fighter at lightweight division, um, just for a shot to become undisputed. He and then to top it all off, he signed with the worst promoter, but most powerful promoter in the game. So it's unlikely that um, people can do business with Bob Arum and leave unscathed. So for taking a risk like this, Devin Haney would basically have to be flawless, completely dominate George Kambosos, at least 2 times, and then beat another one of Bob Arum's fighters. That said, it's a it's a steep slope to climb, and we wish the best for Devin Haney. But that is essentially the war log or the chronicle of the story. Um, Devin Haney just touched down in Australia, I'd say a couple days ago. Um, his dad's visa is still not approved, so you have a fighter with all of the concessions he's taken, doesn't even have his main coach. He has UL Judah now. That said, I still got Devin Haney, maybe not stopping George Kambosos because we know he's not the most powerful puncher, but I can see Devin Haney winning by a unanimous decision or overwhelming George Kambosos to the point where if he's a if he's tactfully aggressive enough, he can possibly press for the TKO if he's completely landsliding him, as he almost TKO'd Jojo Diaz in his last fight. But till next time, guys, it was a cold black affair. Like, subscribe, comment, all that. Peace.